Martial arts have no shortage of conmen. While the internet and such events as the UFC are rooting out martial arts instructors who are undeservedly calling themselves masters and grandmasters, there's still a thriving culture of fake martial arts instructors who trick a significant amount of people. Interestingly, these quote-unquote masters usually use very similar methods to lure in potential students and how they maintain their carefully crafted position. In order to bring more awareness to the martial arts world, to gain a better understanding of how these individuals work and what behavior they share, in this video we will take a look at the crazy culture of fake martial arts masters. The very first fake martial arts master that I personally came to know about was a local celebrity in my country, Lithuania. His name was Vladimir Lisitsyn, an Aikido instructor running his own organization with multiple dojos across the whole country. I never got a chance to train with Vladimir personally since I didn't live in a city where he was teaching, nor there was one of his affiliate dojos around my area, but I kept hearing plenty of stories from my fellow Aikidoka about him. None of them were positive. I heard stories of how he created a national traditional martial art based on Lithuanian culture, how he wore safety glasses for construction during weapons training, and how he claimed to be a 10th degree Aikido black belt, the highest rank possible, while even some of the closest students of the Aikido's founder reached only 9th degree at the end of their lives. At the time though, I thought that maybe these are just rumors. The Aikido circles that I was hanging around didn't have a shortage of them. It was common to call other Aikido masters phonies and to say that their styles were bad, as long as they were not part of our school. When I heard stories about Lisitsyn, I thought that maybe this is just another case of unjustified gossip. It's only years later, when I started questioning martial arts publicly, that I remembered Vladimir. I became curious if rumors about him were true and if he indeed was a conman. I decided to do some investigation. It turns out that at the moment of doing this research, on his website it is declared that he's not only a 10th degree black belt, but actually he's a 12th degree black belt. Through my nearly 20 years of studying Aikido, I never heard even once about a rank beyond 10th degree black belt in Aikido. When I looked up online, I learned that only one major martial arts style, known as Bujinkan, has developed a system of 15 black belt degrees. I also found out one more grandmaster who claims to be a 15 degree black belt, but we will get back to him later. Aside from these two cases, it seems that a system of 10 degrees of black belt is universally agreed upon, with 10th dans being a rare exception. Since Aikido normally doesn't have more ranks than 10th degree black belts, and since Vladimir doesn't seem to be associated with Bujinkan, I became suspicious and decided to investigate further. That's when I discovered even more far-fetched claims. One of them is that Lisitsyn is an instructor in an anti-criminal, anti-terrorist system called Spetsnaz Global. When I searched for information about Spetsnaz Global online, I found nothing besides articles which self-reference Vladimir himself. His website also claims that, I quote, Grandmaster Lisitsyn is ranked in the list of 100 masters of the world, a list I was unable to find of either. Continuing to look up Vladimir, I found mention of two other grandmasters, and I decided to look them up as well. Of one of them, I was unable to find any information in English about, but I did find a Polish website which claims that he is a 10th degree Jiu-Jitsu Soke. Soke was an unfamiliar term to me, but both Vladimir and the supposed 10th degree black belt both used it, so I decided to look up what it means. It turns out that Soke is a Japanese term that means the head family in general, and in the context of martial arts often indicates the leader of a school or the master of a style. It is most commonly used as a highest level Japanese title, referring to the singular leader of a school or style of martial arts. I guess in a way, using this term could make sense. Both of the people in question are owners of their own schools, but deciding to use such a title is still an odd choice. To make things even more worse, Vladimir doesn't stop at calling himself a Soke. In his website, he possesses the title of Sei Soke. To what it exactly means, I was unable to find an answer to. As I moved on to the third Grandmaster, I took a closer look at Claudio Artusi. While he did not attach the name of Soke or Sei Soke to his name, seeing his list of degrees was more than enough to make me curious. He claims to possess a 9th degree black belt in 3 different martial arts, including in, I quote, military jiu-jitsu, and 10 8th and 7th black belt degrees in other practices, including a 7th dan in Italian World Jiu-Boxing Federation. Besides this list appearing to be unrealistic, what also stood out for me was that these free, so-far-examined Grandmasters do not seem to be known outside of their countries, despite holding a claimed impressive list of credentials. One part of me then asked, if these instructors claim to have so much experience, why are they not well known across the whole globe? For comparison, I took a look at the list of universally acknowledged legendary martial artists, and interestingly enough, all of these masters had a high rank primarily in a single martial art. Besides Chuck Norris, who has black belts in Tang Soo Do, Taekwondo, BJJ, and Judo. But I mean, it's Chuck Norris. Come on. And even then, being as legendary as Chuck Norris is, the black belt degrees he has are 10th degree in Chung Kuk Do, a 9th degree in Tang Soo Do, 8th degree in Taekwondo, 5th degree in Karate, 3rd degree black belt in BJJ, and a black belt in Judo. There are no claims that he is a 10th degree black belt in 5 different martial arts. Comparing the examined Grandmasters with legendary martial artists, their claims started to seem even more far-fetched. For a moment though, I thought that maybe this extreme case of free Grandmasters is an isolated case, that maybe they are a trio of martial arts frauds that are learning from each other how to fool potential students. But the more I continued to investigate, the more I started to understand that it is actually a whole global culture. By searching how all of these free Grandmasters are affiliated, I discovered an organization called AJJIF, or the All Japan Jiu-Jitsu International Federation World Jiu-Jitsu Governing Body, who they all belonged to. What was concerning to me here was that the list of AJJIF's 10th degree black belts alone showed more than 100 members of all sorts of titles, ranging from Grandmasters to Sokes to Hanshis, meaning exemplary teachers, to all sorts of seen and unseen honorary titles. Looking at their list of council members and Grandmasters, I also found 2 names which were familiar to me: Frank Dux and George Dillman. Both of these martial artists are well-known, controversial figures. George Dillman is well known for his claims to teach the use of pressure points without any evidence of effectiveness. He also made claims of using and teaching no-touch knockout techniques. This claim was documented on the National Geographic Channel, where he demonstrated his no-touch skills on his students, but when time came to demonstrate it on a visitor, Dillman asked one of his students to do the demonstration instead. The demonstration did not work, as the visitor felt no effect. George explained that the reason for the demonstration's failure was because the visitor was a non-believer or was holding his tongue in a position which nullified the no-touch technique's effect.
The skeptic was a totally non-believer. Plus, I don't know if I should say that on film, but if the guy had his tongue in the wrong position of the mouth, that can also nullify it.
The second figure, Frank Dux, was recorded to make such claims as having been awarded the Medal of Honor and participating and winning in a secret single elimination fighting tournament. If that sounds familiar, that's most likely because the movie Bloodsport, featuring Jean-Claude Van Damme, was based on his story. Unfortunately, these and many other claims made by Frank Dux were disputed. Looking further at the list of AJJIF's Grandmasters and Council members, I also found a couple of other names that I knew, but this time ones which were much more credible. These names included Hailson Gracie, son of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu founder Carlos Gracie, and one of the most well-respected representatives of the Gracie self-defense style himself, Jean Labelle, widely credited with popularizing grappling in professional fighting circles, serving as a precursor to modern mixed martial arts, and Dan Inosanto, training partner of Bruce Lee and authority figure in Jeet Kune Do. While I'm not a big fan of the approach that Dan Inosanto took with Jeet Kune Do, these three martial artists are legendary in the martial arts world and have proven themselves to be experts of the highest caliber. Yet when I searched for additional information of their affiliation with AJJIF, I couldn't find any information at all, besides the information displayed on the AJJIF website. Nothing on their personal website, nothing anywhere. I've sent an email to AJJIF to ask if they could confirm in some way that these three legendary martial artists are indeed members. I haven't received an answer yet. That undoubtedly made me feel suspicious about their involvement in AJJIF, and brought me to question if their names are not simply put up in these lists for display and the creation of a false impression. It also made me question if the other names of the members may be included in these lists for display purposes only. But then again, I did find out our first person of interest, Vladimir Lisitsyn, in one of their lists. which makes me consider that at least a portion of these displayed names are likely real. I was also curious to see who is the leader of this organization. What I came to see by now seemed familiar to me. The founder of AJJIF is, I quote, O-sensei Alexei Kunin. Yet again, as in the other export cases, we see again an honorary title. This time, it literally means the great teacher. This title, as far as I could find, was historically widely used in reference only with one individual, the founder of Aikido, Morihei Ueshiba. There's also a fictional character in the DC universe who is named O-sensei, but that doesn't count. The website also claims that Alex Kunin is a great jiu-jitsu legend, US Army veteran, scholar, and mystic of the living knowledge, and the highest ranked traditional jiu-jitsu grandmaster in the world. Next to the list of credentials, we also find another, now familiar, nearly endless list of other achievements. This list includes such claims as a Presidential Sports Award from the President of the United States, George W. Bush, and a Gold Life Award from the International Bushido Hall of Fame, a Hall of Fame which I was unable to find any traces of online. By now, I started to see a pattern between all of these grandmasters, but I still thought maybe it's just a single organization that presents itself and its members in this way. Unfortunately, doing more research, I was able to find more cases that are similar to AJJIF. When looking for confirmation that there are only 10 universally agreed on black belt degrees, I found a case of a 15-degree black belt by the name of Great Grandmaster Fred Villari, the founder and creator of the venerable art of Shaolin Kempo Karate. Great Grandmaster Villari apparently has implemented a 15-degree black belt system in his own created martial art, which naturally made him a 15th degree Great Grandmaster. Aside from the title of Great Grandmaster, a seemingly common feature in this culture of fake martial arts masters, Villari also proudly wears a black belt with 20 golden stripes on it. I also learned that he is frequently criticized for offering distance learning, in which students are able to earn ranks from white belt to black belt by purchasing a series of DVDs and then filming themselves performing the techniques. I also asked my channel audience for suggestions and got my attention driven to Grandmaster Keith R. Kernspetz, the, I quote, father of Wing Chun in Europe and highest graduated Wing Chun master in the world. Yet again, with shortage of information about him in English. One of my viewers also pointed out that there is no shortage of grandmasters in Italy. The first person he brought my attention to was Gilberto Pauzzulo, who allegedly claimed to be a 10th degree black belt master in, I quote, mixed martial arts, among a now familiar vast list of other credentials. There is also the case of Soke MHOF Emilio Bevilacqua, Italian legend in the world of mixed martial arts. Yet again, a legend with no articles about him in English. The website also claims he has a gold ring and silver life achievement award, two awards which seemed appealing to my gamer nature. And then there was Grandmaster with a t-shirt of his own, Giuseppe Di Garbo, 10th Dan in karate and jiu-jitsu, who also claims to be the founder of Krav Maga and Self-Defense System, Italy. All rights reserved. Although I eventually did learn that two of these grandmasters are associated with AJJIF, it became clear to me that this culture of fake martial arts masters is indeed global, that it is indeed a reoccurring pattern and phenomena. And where there is a pattern, there's usually also an already developed explanation. I asked myself, what makes people like these make these grandiose claims? Is it their desire for recognition? Is it a desire for financial gain? Or maybe it is something more serious and internal? To get a better grasp on it all, I contacted my friend Linda Heffernan, a behavioral psychologist and executive NLP coach specializing in helping victims of narcissistic personality behaviors. I've described to her the discoveries I've made about these alleged martial artists who promote themselves with grandiose achievements and credentials, and asked if it reminds her of any psychological disorders. Linda made it clear that she is not putting a diagnosis on anyone in particular. But the issue that I described reminded her of grandiose narcissism. Grandiose narcissism is characterized by high self-esteem, interpersonal dominance, and a tendency to overestimate one's capabilities. These people tend to brag, be elitist, and exaggerate their importance. They're also very self-confident. The description of grandiose narcissism as a recorded behavioral disorder definitely seemed to fit my explored examples. All of these masters seem to emphasize their superiority by giving themselves titles and presenting themselves as masters of the greatest importance. They do not seem to shy away from sharing their achievements and quite likely exaggerate most of them, while also exaggerating their own importance. Linda described grandiose narcissists by saying they are in a vortex of proving their worth to themselves and to others. They need the adulation and validation as part of a complex identity trauma in the subconscious. Eventually, many believe in their own hype and persona and will do anything to maintain it, including belittling and trying to destroy those that challenge them. It doesn't mean that they don't have talent or ability, but they may conflate it to exaggerated proportions. They are in a constant battle with their inner sense of self and control of how they wish to perceive them. I then asked Linda the question which was on my mind for a long time. Do you think there may be cases where these Grandmasters sincerely believe their own created lore? Linda answered, yes. They can get so heavily invested in the fantasy and perceived adoration that comes with it that they develop a false belief in their own identity construct. Letting go of that could cause another psychological trauma. She also added that another key phrase here would be narcissistic supply. Grandiose narcissists need the image and adoration to constantly replenish their deeply embedded sense of inadequacy. Listening to Linda's answer, I thought to myself, isn't the world of martial arts perfect for that? Many people still mystify martial arts and expect to find their sensei, their master Miyagi to follow, believe in, and worship. It almost seems that martial arts is a perfect breeding ground for these narcissists, who claim titles and gather a following, or more specifically, worshipping. Linda then also added another reflection. There are also those who may behave as such to take money from others, otherwise known as swindlers. This brought me to consider the other possibility. Maybe some of these Grandmasters are promoting themselves in this way in order to gain financial benefits. That reminded me of the infamous case of Count Dante. For those who do not know, Count Dante's real name was John Timothy Keehan, a man who claimed he could do extraordinary feats such as Dimmak, also known as the touch of death, a technique used to kill using seemingly less than lethal force targeted at specific areas of the body. Keehan, a martial arts practitioner and a hairdresser, legally changed his name to Count Juan Rafael Dante and claimed that he'd participated in secret death matches in Thailand and China where he was winning by killing opponents after opponents before crowds numbering in the thousands. He also heavily promoted himself via comic book ads as the deadliest man alive. Reading about Count Dante's story, it was difficult to tell if this was a case of grandiose narcissism, especially as Linda pointed out that it's not as simple as putting a diagnosis on anyone in particular just based on stories gathered online. Personally though, I couldn't shake the feeling that Dante wasn't just glorifying himself, but that he was also consciously promoting himself to gain financial benefits. As an article in Sports Serious put it, Dante hustled and hustled, and it seemed to be working. He owned 2 dojos. He was becoming famous. His comic book ads gave him a reputation that spread all the way to Europe. Dante understood one thing better than karate, and that was promotion. The story is also familiar to that of Christopher Hunter or Radford William Davis, depending on how deep you dive into his background, who is better known as Ashida Kim, a name he gave to himself. Kim claims ranks in many martial arts, but mostly proclaims to be a 10th degree black belt in a form of ninjutsu that is unknown to anyone. He is also the author of countless of ninjutsu books, including a series of erotic books, in which he is the main character. I do not know how successful his erotic book was, but it is fair to consider that he sold quite a number of books on ninjutsu over the years and made significant financial gains. Stories as these are endless, and they all seem to feature self-worshipping and financial gains in one way or another. And this is what worries me. At the beginning of the making of this video, I believed that the presence of easily accessible knowledge through internet to check what is real and what's not, and such events as UFC, brought the world of fake martial arts masters down. But when I look at such organizations as the AJJIF with so many grandmasters who most likely are promoting the same type of self-glorified culture, I realize that I may have been too optimistic. Still, I hope that these schools are having a more and more difficult time to fool people as awareness spreads about them and their methods. And I hope that this video will help the awareness grow even further. If you want to learn how I personally experienced no-touch martial arts and how I realized how they really work, click on this video right here. Thank you for watching, and I wish you to own your journey.